Hello, this is a level design video. I don't know what it's called yet, they haven't told me, but this is the first episode of it. This is Hamish and Sam.
Hello.
Who are two of the level designers who worked on Volume, and Sam's also worked on the levels for Coda. So this is the level designers. And we're going to talk a bit in these episodes about the process of level design, how you make stuff. There will be some tips, but I think it's more just kind of giving an idea of what our process was in making the game. It's a behind-the-scenes making. That sounds good, doesn't it?
It does. Sounds very good.
It should be called the making of behind-the-scenes levels. No, level design making of behind-the-scenes. There you go.
My brain was racing for a pun for the title, but it hasn't.
Building levels with Mike, Sam, and Hamish.
Yeah, okay.
There you go. Anyway.
Still.
So that's the first step, is really just to work out what are we teaching in this level.
Yeah, so if you were to start a level, I would say choose a focus, choose an object that you want to focus on for a start, and try and do a level that goes through that object and evolves the puzzles involving that object. You can introduce more objects as well, as long as there's that kind of focus, so it feels like a...
At the very bottom of this level, at the start, if you go down, one thing that I've tried to do, which didn't really work out, is a bit too shoehorned into it, but there's that single file path that forces you to walk up to the toilet, and then that brings up the indication that you can flush the toilet, which creates noise.
It's that old Mario thing, right? Of where you wave the first power-up mushroom that you have in Mario, you can't help but catch.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So just trying to introduce these mechanics. Now, when we're making the main game, obviously we have to do that for every single mechanic, every single item, so that you learn how to use everything. When people are making their own levels, I guess that's less of an immediate concern, but like you say, focusing it on something is a really good idea. So just finding a gadget that you like and kind of slowly kind of stepping someone through getting better at it.
Sure.
It's all teaching, right? That makes a lot of sense.
Doesn't even have to be a gadget. It could just be a strong theme that you focus on, and I guess there'll be levels that don't focus on a specific gadget, but a nice idea. Yeah. And then we explore that idea. That's really cool.
Like when I made the Die Hard level, my theme was Die Hard.
That was good.
There was no actual level object, so I just tried to make it like Die Hard.
So we did that to give people an idea. We did I think it was for the Sony blog, we did like a Christmas level design competition. Yeah, like a competition for the team, and it was good because you guys did it, but also like the coders did it. Kerry, my girlfriend, who did a lot of the kind of behind the scenes like organisation stuff, she did a level as well. And yours was the only one which actually made it into the final game.
Yes.
We kind of reskinned it,
as
a not a Die Hard level. So that's really cool. So but in terms of how we plan it, the way I remember it is we had conversations around kind of these are the things we want in the game. These are all the gadgets. These are all the interactions. These are all the enemies. And then I had a rough idea of kind of how those should be introduced and what the pacing should be. And then you guys went off and like really hammered down into that.
Yeah, I mean, so what you'd planned already was very thorough and very organised, and then we jigged it around slightly. Like we just thought maybe this would be better if it came earlier.
What were the reasons behind those kind of decisions? What was
it was more about... Well, first of all, Hamish had already made a load of levels.
Yeah, that was the very first step. We just made a batch, ignoring an overall idea of the flow of the game.
Yeah, just to get into the
see what works and what doesn't. Like one good example is here. You've got the single file paths, which we made a personal rule not to use because it just looked a little bit ropey, didn't it?
Yeah,
so
I'm going to load up. So that was the first version of that map. We're going to go back in future videos and go through the progression of how that map evolved. What's another great starting level that's from that very early stage where you're kind of messing around?
It's Bugle Boy. I mean, I would say anyone who's without a number. So this one,
Bugle Boy. So this one, so what I'm doing here is I'm going in and I'm playing. So these are all like you can notice like the flickering lights and stuff. There's loads of issues in these early versions, but this is the dump of, I think it was like 600 maps we just copied onto this computer to show.
So there are about 6 iterations of every level. Every level went through 6 phases, around about.
Some more,
and then a bunch in between, right?
Yeah.
That's cool.
But you were just saying about why we changed the order. It would be because Hamish had made some levels and we thought, we'll just change the order and then this will work. Or a mechanic it just seemed too complex too early on, so we just move it along a bit. And then for Coda, I actually changed the order of the way we introduced them the first time around, just to bring about new puzzles.
I remember that's a real challenge with Coda has been, because we know that there are going to be people who play Coda who've never played Volume before,
right?
Like it's their first ever version of the game. But we also know there'll be people who have played Volume to death, so we'll know a lot of stuff about how Volume works. So balancing those two, I think that was probably that's probably the thing we've talked most about, I think, in terms of planning that out is how to get those experiences working. I hope we have. We'll see.
I was quite worried at the beginning,
kind of as it went on. But I guess the first part of this is to say, what did I do before you guys even started? So there was definitely I want to say almost a year, I think, before actually you guys came on, where I was making my own levels, and I was making them mainly to kind of test mechanics and to get the kind of the building blocks together, because you guys couldn't start making levels until you had all the pieces. So I know I made a lot of levels. A lot of people, if you played this game at an event kind of a couple of years before release, you were playing levels like I directly made myself, and they weren't so good. I think it's fair to say I think this is one of the first levels you guys gave back. I think this was the point where I realised, like, oh wow, there are level designers now, because this thing feels and plays a lot better than those kind of early prototypes would have suggested, which is great. But yeah, so I kind of, the way I remember it is I came to you guys with a pretty finished game in terms of did it have all the gadgets? I know it was very buggy and there was some problems in the editor, but like, did it have all the gadgets, or was I still building stuff as you guys started? I can't remember.
I think there was one that maybe changed. So there was one
that
wasn't working.
That would have been it. Yeah. Yeah, because there was the mute, right? That was a gadget that seemed really cool on paper, which was this idea that it would kind of mute your footsteps or mute your noise when you had noisy interactions. But like in the process of finishing that, it was like there's no levels to build around this, because it's basically an on-off switch for the enemies hearing stuff. It's not good. So that became that speed run thing, which I think that was the one that you guys got a little bit later.
That was cool.
There was a lot of props missing, but that was...
props as well, yeah, because so a lot of these early maps that we're showing in this episode, they don't have any props, because obviously that's something you kind of pile on later. Colour as well was often placeholder, although some of the colour palettes kind of stuck there, or moved to a different level. Like, I remember when we were doing, because the colour pass was done with Daz, really towards the end actually, like me and him basically just sat here for about 2 days straight, just like ordering takeaway and just going through every kind of colour scheme. And I remember there were some colour schemes that you guys had that were just awesome, that we took and like just moved over to a different level.
Right.
But
there were some bad ones as well.
There were some absolutely terrible ones as well. Yeah, they were playing.